Work was so hard today. I didn't get any sleep last night. I have so much homework. I just had the worst workout. I'm totally gonna bomb this test. We all know that guy, and you don't wanna be that guy. And that's exactly what I'm gonna be talking about in today's video. Problem culture. I made this term up myself because I've seen it happening a lot recently. I just started to write down a little bit of my thoughts about it. So I'd like to share those with you and show you exactly how you can make this not such a problem. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. I'm Michael Dennis and I make videos about confidence, productivity, and happiness so you can get shit done and love every step of the way. And if that sounds like something you're interested in, I highly suggest hitting that subscribe button and clicking the little bell so you get notified every time I drop a new video, just like this. So right before I talk about this, I want to say that there is a lot more positivity going around these days. I'm seeing so many more people talking about good things like spiritual concepts, like meditation and being grateful and being present, and everything happens for a reason, and self-love, self-care, all these things, which are awesome, but there's still a good bit of negativity out there lingering around. But like I alluded to in the beginning, it seems like there's this competition, an ongoing competition in society between people. Every time people talk of who has it worse, who slept less last night, who has more homework due tomorrow, the list just goes on and on. We've all been in those conversations before where someone says, oh my God, I have to work like 10 hours tomorrow. And then someone else is like, oh, well, I have to work like 12 and I didn't sleep that much last night. And then the next person's like, oh, well, I didn't even sleep last night. And it just becomes this crazy competition of insanity, quite frankly. For some reason, it just seems to be more interesting to talk about your problems than about positive things going on. And I think a big part of this might even be because of the news, because the news is structured this way. It's pretty much natural that the news is going to talk about the big things, the problems, the headlines that get the most views are the ones that are negative, usually. And we're so used to seeing all these negative headlines and negativity going around in the news, it can be hard to stay positive, which is a big part of why I don't watch the news. But some people may hear that and think, oh, how are you ever going to hear about what's going on? It's important to be up to date with the events. And yes, I agree to a certain extent. It's important to know about what's going on, for example, with the coronavirus and things like that I hear about from my roommates, from social media, from Google Trends, for example. But I don't need to hear about every single little thing that happens, like Sally from the town next door getting robbed at gunpoint. That doesn't affect me, almost certainly. And even though that's an example from like local news, for example, I mean, it's still true on the bigger level. There are some things that are just so big, they're such large problems, like political problems, for example, that might not ever actually affect you, but you get really sad or upset about them anyway. Anyway, that's my rant on the news. I'm gonna move on from that. The next thing I'd like to talk about are tweets, for example, and memes, things like that. I see so many people retweeting things that are just like negative. It's like, oh, like this bad thing happened to me, LOL. And for some reason, it's like the funniest thing that someone sees in their whole day. Maybe you've noticed this, maybe you haven't, but maybe you will now that I'm saying it. But if you look at Twitter, for example, so many of the tweets that get retweeted a ton of times, they're things that are generally pretty negative, but in a funny way. Now, don't get me wrong, a little bit of self-deprecation can be a good thing. It can be funny, humbling, maybe lighten the mood a little bit, but you don't want to just be constantly down on yourself over everything. With some people, it seems like the only thing they like to talk about are all the bad things and all the problems going on in their lives. Try to limit how much you talk to these people, because if you're anything like me, it will just bring down your vibration, bring down your mood every time they just come to you with more and more problems. Like, typical example, if they text you, if you find yourself always replying with like :/ or parentheses, like these sad faces, then that's probably someone who's generally pretty negative. By doing this, you're not only going to raise your vibration and your mood, but you might even help them out, because by distancing yourself a little bit, they might start to catch on to the fact that being negative is actually pushing people out of their lives. Ah! The light just fell. There was a gust of wind and my big box light just fell and unplugged. I'll be right back. Oh my God, look what just happened to this plug right here. Whew. All right, well, that was not what I was expecting to happen, but it actually provides a great example of what I'm talking about, because I could have just interpreted that event as being this horrible thing, like, oh my God, I was just in the middle of a shot, I just said the line perfectly, and then the light fell. Or I could have been like, that was kind of funny. That might actually make my video a little bit more interesting. So I could have just gone in and been like, oh my God, guys, you'll never guess what just happened. I was filming, everything was going perfectly, and then the light fell. Instead, now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna probably tell them about it and laugh about it. But anyway, I digress. So the solution that I promised you in the beginning, it's quite simple. And all it is, apart from cutting out people who are just too negative and too toxic all the time, is to simply, next time you find yourself in one of those conversations that I was talking about earlier, where someone says, oh, I didn't sleep that much, and then someone else says, oh, I slept even less. Instead of adding on to that, which can be very tempting, I've definitely been guilty of this too. I've definitely added to the negativity and whatnot in those situations. But moving forward, what I'm going to try to do instead is actually try to bring a positive spin to it. Maybe say, yeah, I didn't sleep too much either last night, but I'm actually getting in the habit of trying to go to sleep at the same time every night and wake up at the same time every day. And so hopefully I'll be able to stick to that. And if it works out well for me, I'll let you know, and maybe you can try it too. That might have sounded a little cheesy, but that's the only example I could think of off the top of my head, but you get the point. So anyway, moral of the story is, be grateful. Yes, I know it sounds like a curveball. I never really talked about that throughout this whole video, but that's what this whole video is really about. Because as many problems as you may have had today, there are so many things, I'm sure, that are great going on in your life. Maybe you can have your health to be thankful for. Maybe you have a nice family. Maybe you have something going for you. There's gotta be something there. But instead of focusing on that, we tend to focus on the negatives, especially because a lot of the good things in our lives are things that are typically good, like always, things that we almost start to take for granted. Whereas the problems, those come in fast. It's just like, oh my God, all of a sudden coronavirus. Oh my God, all of a sudden this, all of a sudden that. And those things are tough, but you can't get too caught up in them. You just have to remember to be grateful every once in a while, and maybe even make it part of your daily routine. If you already meditate or visualize or something, spend like a minute just thinking about what things you can be grateful for. By doing this, you'll start to rewire your brain a little bit away from those negative thoughts and more towards the positive ones, and keep your vibration and your mood much higher. So that just about wraps it up for today. If you like this video, go ahead and check out this one, which is the last one I posted. It's a very similar topic. It's called The Story of the Taoist Farmer. And basically, actually, you'll learn about it. If you like this video, you'll like that one, so go ahead and check it out. And of course, if you like this video, go ahead and comment, like it, do what you gotta do, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.